I'm going to preface this intro by stating that the following artist I'm going to name, I listened to as a little kid. My parents were big fans of Tony Bennett, which I bring up because his most famous song, I Left My Heart in San Francisco. I thought about it might have been a good headline. Darren, azcardinals.com. I left
that's actually pretty good.
Dub in San Francisco.
I thought you were referencing Lil Jon. Thursday night's halftime performance.
Don't do it, Dani.
See?
Don't even. No, Dani. I know where Dani wants to go with the Lil Jon reference.
Where does Dani want to go with that?
I thought you were referencing James Conner. You left your heart there.
Yeah.
And soul.
I was. The scoreboard, the heartbeat of the team, all the above, and I'm ignoring Dani, trying to work in
What's
how
new?
I might have spelled Lil Jon with John.
Okay, so it's not Little John.
You did not,
Lil
did you?
Jon.
It was autocorrect on the page, okay? You look further down, I spelled it correctly. That is the halftime act, by the way, this week. And this is Cardinals Underground. Paul Calvisi, Dani Sureck, Darren Urban, Tony Bennett will not be performing posthumously. It is Lil Jon, so just going to let you know. Although he was performing into his 90s. That's neither here nor there. I'm avoiding the real news, which is the bad news of losing James Conner. You lost more than a game, Dani. So how do you quantify the loss of a team captain like JC?
You don't. Conner leads this offense, not just what he does in the run game, how he sets the tone and runs through defenses like a bulldozer. He is the heart and soul of this offense. He is the bellwether of where you're looking at this offense, this team as a whole, and you lose him in a devastating manner. The Cardinals were running the ball a little bit more than what we've seen early on the first half. You get through one play as a 9-yard run to kick off the third quarter, and then he gets hurt. And it was a tough scene to watch from the press box. I can only imagine your view down on the sideline, Paul, and everybody on the field immediately took a knee. All the players coming around Conner as he was carted off the field. There was a trainer who was applying pressure to that right ankle, which we've now learned is actually a season-ending right foot injury for Conner. And that's tough. That's tough as the type of person Conner is and all he has overcome on a personal level throughout his career going back to college. And to have somebody get hurt who means so much to this team on and off the field, that's a gut punch.
I mean, there's no doubt in my mind, at least in my opinion, the halftime adjustment was more James Conner. You came out, you gave it to him 9 yards off the bat, gave it to him on the next carry, and then it was tough. I mean, the whole sideline immediately went to a knee. You could just tell. It's just the way it happened. And then the reaction of the players on the field, players on the sideline immediately took a knee. And then by the time it was determined, here's the cart, everyone came out onto the field. Both sides, Jonathan Gannon, I don't know what he said in the postgame presser. On the radio side, he gave props to the Niners for being all class, Fred Warner and company, for just the respect they showed for James Conner. They know what sort of game they're in for when James Conner and that Cardinals offense shows up and they're going to cram it vertical. And they know that James Conner single-handedly led the Cardinals offense down the field to what was a game-winning field goal drive akin to what the Niners did this year, the Cardinals did last year.
It was just one of those unfortunate plays that just happens in the game of football. Conner went to run the ball up the middle. He got tackled and kind of got his leg stuck as he was continuing to get tackled. It's heartbreaking, especially early on in the season, to lose somebody that you plan a lot of your offense around. Now you've got to have Trey Benson going in now in his second year step up. Conner had called them co-RB1s at the start of the year. Offensive coordinator Drew Petzing told the media Monday that he feels like Benson is ready for this load he's going to have to carry, and so he's going to have to step up starting on a short week Thursday night against Seattle.
I know, it's weird. We get to know these guys more than most, obviously, because of our situation and working for the team. And, there isn't anybody. It was funny, Jonathan Gannon just said there isn't anybody in the building that doesn't understand what James Conner means around here. And that includes us. We're not in the building 24/7 anymore, but we are still in here enough that everybody gets James Conner. There's nobody that isn't upset that James Conner got hurt. But there's also 14 games left in the season. This is one of those things where this is the harsh part of the NFL where we're going to talk about this, and we're probably going to talk about it a little bit more, and it's a weird situation because of the short week, and you're going right into another game, and there's other things you got to worry about, whether Paris Johnson's healthy, whether you got enough receivers now that Zay Jones is in concussion protocol. But this is going to fade quickly in the grand scheme of where this Cardinal season goes because you get forced to.
Do you have to change the identity of your run game? Do you have to change the identity of your offense? You guys know I'm fond of saying he's not just a player, he's a mindset, he's a mentality. He'll rip off 4, 5, 10 yards. He'll flex towards the sideline, follow me. Let's get amped up. He's that sort of guy. We always use in football and in sports in general, that player sets the tone. There are very few players who truly, single-handedly set the tone. Fred Warner is one of those guys for the 49ers. James Conner was his counterpart on the other side of the ball. I would say Mack Wilson Sr. set the tone for the Cardinals defense. He's becoming that guy. We'll get to him in a minute. But nobody is quite like James Conner. And Trey Benson in year 2, he's a highly skilled running back, but I just wonder if you have to draw it up differently now.
You can't replace what Conner brings to this team because he's unique in that. You also can't change the identity of this offense, what they're built around. They have built this team from a personnel standpoint on running the ball. It's not as simple as, okay, we're not going to have Conner. Let's just really focus on the passing game. Passing game has not been there the last 3 weeks. Not consistently enough, not as consistently as you needed to. You can't just snap your fingers and say, okay, we lost RB1. Let's just become a pass-first, pass-heavy team. Fortunately, it doesn't work that way. It'd be really nice if it did right now for the Cardinals. Good news is Benson has shown he is capable of having some really nice runs. He's had a handful of explosive runs so far this season. He doesn't just go east and west. He goes north and south. He is running through defenders more than we saw last year, kind of emulating Conner a bit in that. And you expect that the more reps, the more touches Benson has with the ball, the more comfortable he will get, that much faster his game will improve. What's tough is this offense stems around running the ball and opening up the rest of the playbook, opening up that air game. If there's going to be any sort of setback in the run game, which, to be fair, has not taken off the way that we expected to, the way that we saw this team end with their run game offensively last year, this passing game is absolutely going to have to step up, and that's tough if this run game doesn't figure out where they need to make adjustments.
Look, the reality is it's been a run-first offense for 2 years.
A good run-first offense.
Yes, absolutely. Number 2 in yards per carry 2 years in a row. So there's no doubt in the offseason that defenses have adjusted, that they studied the Cardinals' scheme. Here's how we're going to counter what the Cardinals try and do with some of the pulling guards and the tight ends, and we're going to crash the edge, and here comes the middle linebacker downhill, and we're going to gum up in between the tackles, and we're going to make it difficult. I mean, even the James Conner late first quarter, 3rd and 1, where there was the free hitter, and he spun away from him, and then miraculously, basically it was like a 4-yard gain because he got hit 4 yards deep, and then he gained 5 and picked up the first down on 3rd and 1. That was a miraculous spin and the ability to still go forward and pick up the first down. To me, and I know you guys didn't ask, but Calvisi Consulting, the Paulie Pigskin division, I think we have a possible answer as to what you do now minus James Conner. You ready?
We're listening.
More Trey McBride. If there's another guy on the offense who, quote, sets the tone, who gets as fired up on game day as James Conner, who is every bit as competitive, who is that ultra crazy game day guy who can fire up an entire sideline, it is Trey McBride. And so, you know what? If you're going to make, like the Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce in their prime, and he's going to get 15 targets a game, then I say do it. Just keep feeding Trey McBride.
You won't find an argument from me. It's like more cowbell, more McBride, yes. Paul. Yes. He's tough to bring down. He's got incredible hands. That's a connection that has been good so far through 3 games. You're always going to want more. You're always going to need more because McBride is that good. That's a good turning point for what this offense could have. Not in the sense of you're changing the identity. McBride's just your most reliable receiver right now.
Are you doing it out of necessity in some ways too, though? No James Conner. Trey Benson has had some flashes, but he hasn't proven it on 20-plus carries a game, if that's what you want to do against Seattle. I don't know who else. I mean, is Amari DiMercato, Michael Carter, are these Bam Knight? Are these guys deserving? Is it going to be anywhere close to a 1-2 punch? So if Trey Benson is truly the feature back and he's going to get a steady diet of carries, And then the receiver room has been, let's be kind, inconsistent and at times just unproductive. Maybe it's Trey McBride out of necessity at this point.
More Trey McBride, though, obviously.
Yes.
Because to act like Trey McBride isn't already at the forefront of this offense. Now,
but have you maximized him here in 2025?
Have you maximized anything on offense? Like,
I'm saying who's capable of being that guy if you double down on his targets and his touches.
I don't disagree with you, but I guess my thought process is I feel like, correct me if I'm wrong, and I know you will, I feel like the implication is that they haven't maximized Trey McBride because they've been doing other stuff.
A little bit.
My argument is they haven't maximized Trey because they haven't. I don't think they've done any other stuff. Like, I think they've done so little at this point. Trey's numbers are down, but I bet you if you do like ratios, it's about the same. They just aren't running the plays and they aren't as successful on offense, and that's why it feels like his production is down a little bit. I don't think anybody. It's not like what he used to get is going to other people.
Yeah. I guess when we see him with that touchdown catch.
Thank goodness it didn't take till week 17 this year.
Woohoo!
Good one. And when I see him attack the football, and I'm not seeing the rest of the receiver room do that with nearly the same ferocity, I just feed the guy who's competing unlike any other.
I'm with you. And it does feel like, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, and again, I know that you will, it feels like you can kind of see the body language of a frustrated Trey McBride at times out there.
Yeah, I'd love to get all the pass-catching targets on the lie detector and get a state of the passing game assessment. Because I think
would you? They
think there's a lot more to be had. No question about it. So, all right, why is that? And if it's a run-first offense, and if Kyler's too often running for his life, then does everybody now come back to the line of scrimmage?
Always.
And would you assess the Cardinals' offensive line at this point? Because I'll say this much, as you go from San Francisco to Seattle, the Niners, there was what was considered an area of opportunity, the Niners' interior defensive line. That's not the case with Seattle. I mean, Seattle's defensive front exceeds the Niners, especially after the Niners lost, Bosa for 3/4 of that game.
It's so interesting when you look at the stats. This offensive line in particular, is doing a good job in terms of negating pressures, keeping a clean pocket, and the fact that the Cardinals still have a middle-of-the-pack run game, despite when you know the nuance and what this offense can and needs to be, is not hitting those standards. But when you're looking at it and you're comparing it to the rest of the league, this offensive line has done a fine job. When you have the eye test and you're seeing that there is miscommunication, that the blocks are not where they always need to be, there are not gaps created the way that we have seen 4 of these 5 starting offensive linemen create last year, that 5th being right guard Isaiah Adams, who played a significant time. You have a lot of that consistency with an offensive line that has blocked for a 1,000-yard rusher in back-to-back seasons. So they have shown that they can be better. That's what's frustrating, is that there are not the gaps for these backs to run through. There is miscommunication. And Murray and San Francisco had that pocket collapsing much faster than we had seen the previous 2 weeks against a banged-up 49ers team. You need more from every aspect of this offense. There's nothing that has been rolling start to finish in a game or consistently through 3 weeks. So you have to start with the line of scrimmage and winning in your trenches, and that's where the success branches out.
I'll give you an anecdote from the sideline and a little hot take. Here we go. The 29-yard run, I think they reassessed it, went from 30 to 29 yards. Trey Benson, AQ Shipley is going to feature that in Film Room this week. Highly recommend the Film Room segment with AQ. He crushes it every week. If you look at that, it was after the play, and they had checked in the extra offensive lineman. Not sure if it was 13 muscle or 12 muscle. That denotes an extra offensive lineman along with the tight end grouping.
I just saw that Josh Fryar got 9 snaps on offense for the first time, the rookie offensive lineman, and none of them were as a normal tackle.
Correct.
They're all jumbo.
Yes. And so on that play, he got the key block on Fred Warner. Drilled him drop Fred. Down goes Fred Warner. And Trey Benson out of the gate, 29-yard run, comes to the sideline. Immediately, everybody daps him up. I mean, props all around. I just wonder, Josh Fryar, how did some of these other offensive linemen grade out? Is it time to get a young, big dude who, had a lot of experience at Ohio State? Niners went with their 7th-round rookie at left guard. Josh Sweat got him for the only sack of the game, by the way, because they always find out what the opponent thinks of your offensive line, where they put their best pass rusher. And it just so happened that Josh Sweat, the fish, as they call him, happened to be that 7th-round rookie left guard. So I just, based on what he did in that game, I'm real curious to see how many more snaps, if any, he gets on Thursday night.
Fryar got a lot of looks at the tackle position throughout training camp of the preseason. So if that's what you're implying.
And he got better every single week, every single preseason game. He just got more and more opportunities. By the time we got to the last camp practice, they had him going against Calais and Dalvin Tomlinson and Darius. Like, they put the first-team D-line against him.
In an ideal world, Paul, you're not having Fryar see the field at tackle. Paris Johnson Jr. didn't play in San Francisco. He was dealing with a knee injury. That's likely going to be a game day decision because Cardinals aren't really going to practice on a short week, hosting Seattle Thursday night. So if that's the case, okay, that's a conversation. I don't want to get into this conversation of let's see a lot more of Fryar because that would mean that your starting left tackle is hurt. And Jonah Williams at your starting right tackle is still a much better option than the rookie.
Good point. We'll see. We'll see what happens. All right. We're also avoiding the other area on offense, the James Conner injury, and then the wide receiver 1 topic. Remember, the Cardinals didn't add, as we all talked about, did not draft a receiver, didn't go after a free agent receiver because they figured the guy they took number 4 overall would elevate and become a true wide receiver 1. We've seen flashes, yet to see it get complete traction. And then arguably the worst game of his NFL career in Week 3 at the 49ers, if you want to go ahead and take those drops, and I do mean plural.
Yeah.
Because Marvin himself expects to make that touchdown catch, the one in the end zone that he failed to secure and come down with.
I do know, I wanted to throw this out there because I know some people had brought it up that how, even on that play, it's not a great, because they want to talk about the offense coordinator, not a great play design when you got Marvin Harrison and Zay Jones in the same place. I watched the play again. It was a busted play. Kyler broke the pocket, and if Marvin had stayed in the area that he was supposed to be in originally, and I'm not saying he shouldn't have tried to find a spot, but he and Zay had plenty of room outside. But Marvin didn't necessarily remember where Zay was. He was trying to do the scramble rules and move downfield. And I'll be honest, when I watched that play, first of all, I thought Marvin probably should have caught it. I also don't think that Kyler was throwing it to Marvin. I think he was throwing it to Zay Jones, who was supposed to be down there.
Interesting.
Which just brings up all kinds of things because it was not going to come close to where Zay was. Now, there was a pass interference. And, again, there's lots of things right now with the pass game. Zay Jones, you wish you would have come up with that last catch. But as we know now, because of the concussion, and Jonathan Gannon said it happened on the last play, and if I recall correctly, Zay Jones went to the ground on that play, so maybe that's why the ball came out, was because he hit his head. So you're certainly not going to blame a guy for that, but it hurts, and then Amari DiMercato would have at least had a first down, if not a touchdown, on the one that he dropped when he was open. And it's funny for all the things we've talked about Kyler Murray over time and some of the hits and misses that he's had. I thought he played a pretty good game.
Yeah. Let's be clear. The struggles on offense in San Francisco were not on the quarterback.
Nope.
That was clear. Did he have an absolutely perfect game? No. He will have plays that he wants to have back. The mistakes on offense didn't come at his expense. There's no excuse for having drop passes. They're human. They're not going to be perfect. But in the situations they found themselves in where they were not coming down with the ball, are plays that you need on crucial downs. The first play of Harrison's career, Week 1 as a rookie in Buffalo, first play was a drop. Okay, mentally he got back into things. It's tough because he's at a point now, despite only being in year 2, the amount of reps and looks he's had, the fact that we know how hard he works, how many balls he is catching out there on the field when practice is over. You just can't have it. Like there really is no excuse, whether that's physical or mental, and he knows that. And props to Harrison, who stood in front of his locker post-game after a dejecting loss, after a game where he did not meet his standards, didn't meet a lot of the standards of what people would expect from a 4th-round pick, and he stood there and he took it on the chin. And he took accountability, he took responsibility, and not every player in the league in that situation will do that, especially that young, so you have to give him props for that.
I will say in the locker room after the game, we don't get in there till probably 20 minutes after because we're waiting for Gannon to talk, and then it gets opened, and there's a time in between the end of the game, so it's probably about 20 minutes. And when we got in there, Marvin Harrison was still in his full uniform, sitting facing into his locker with a towel over his head, and he was there for a while after that too. And I asked Jonathan Gannon on Monday, like, everybody says there's no harsher critic than myself, and Marvin has said that multiple times. And I said, do you worry about a guy getting into his own head? I've had it's going to be in the mailbag this week, but I've had multiple people say, does he have the yips right now in terms of some of this? And I guess that's possible, but you do worry about a guy, in my opinion, getting into his own head in terms of having all that pressure and struggling with it.
I was not there. What was JG's response to your question, if I might ask?
He basically, he didn't go directly to Marvin, but he said, everybody's that way, and it's a good question, but you've got to find a way to move beyond that. That's how you coach it. And let's face it, the best players are the ones that are the harshest critic, but they do get beyond it. And one of the things I think it's all, and I don't want to make this all, I'm not saying this about Marvin. I don't know Marvin well enough, but bigger picture, especially as somebody who's been around this team for 25 years. Paul, you've been around this team for forever. Dani, you've been around football long enough, and you've seen these athletes up close. The thing that's always tough when you're working from the fan base, we're fortunate enough to get to know these players a little bit more than fans. We don't know them as well as their friends and everything, but we know them a little bit better. Fans aren't going to know this. It's not a cookie cutter situation. These people we talk about, these are human beings playing this game, and sometimes that gets thrown out as a cliche, and sometimes, but again, every guy is different, and fans sometimes don't want to hear that because it makes it harder to figure out what's wrong in a certain situation or whatever. But you don't know how somebody is going to react in a certain situation. You don't know how a guy who's had a ton of success his whole life and gets to this level and struggles a little bit. Some guys, it's everything and it helps them. Some guys, it's everything and it beats them down. And you aren't going to know until you're in that situation. And we will see, in this case, what happens with Marvin and where it goes from here.
Almost a blessing and a curse that this fan base has been blessed with the skills of a Larry Fitzgerald for so long. You have to remember, not everybody is going to be, quote unquote, a Fitz right off the bat. And let's not forget, Harrison has shown really good things. Has it been great the start of the season? No. Did he have a good game in San Francisco? No. He'll tell you that. But whether or not you want to agree with Petzing calling 3 games a small sample size, that's the reality. I don't agree with the people who are coming with pitchforks and saying Harrison is not the receiver, he's not the answer, you need to move on. That I don't agree with. I would like to see Harrison get targeted more. Through 3 games, 10 receptions on 17 targets. You don't need to force him if it's not there, if he's not open. Let's build up that confidence. Let's get that chemistry going, some of the moments we saw as a rookie last year with Murray, and really start to create that foundation. Again, you don't want to force it down their throats, but if he's open and you can work him around in different routes, I would like to see Harrison get the ball a little bit more to try and build that confidence.
Did you guys see the A.J. Brown highlights? Got on the team plane. I looked at a few things, and I'm totally out of it. I don't know any final scores. I know nothing. And I saw
that's because you're so dialed in, Paul.
And I saw some of the AJ because I'm carrying, Rob Fredrickson on the pregame show for 2 hours, and then down on the sideline getting dehydrated. And then I see the AJ Brown highlights, and it reminded me of Anquan Boldin in his prime. Every snap is an MMA fight. It's unbelievable, right? He's playing like a true middle linebacker, and there's such a big part of me that I want to show those highlights to Marvin Harrison Jr. Attack the football. It's a game of aggression. But to your point, everyone's different. You can count on one hand how many guys play with the mentality of an Anquan Bolden or A.J. Brown.
This is obviously not the same thing because it is not professional sports. But, and I hate admitting this because I was one of those dads, not over the top, but I had sons. I was hoping they'd get to a certain level. My older son, I thought, could have had a little bit of ability playing some basketball. It wouldn't have gone very far, but at least making high school. But he would have had to put in some time, and he would have had to be more aggressive. And that's not my son. And he never was that guy. And it's tough for me because I was an ass a lot of times when I would get on the basketball court. And that was just my personality. And he just wasn't that guy. And sometimes that's some of the stuff you need. And Anquan was a one of a kind. You know, as great as Fitz was, and he got better at being aggressive, he was never Anquan.
No.
And you can't teach that. That's down deep in the pit.
You also have to be careful what you wish for. When you're looking around some of the top receivers in the league that might have what those qualities you're looking for, Paul, they're divas in the locker room.
Yeah, it's true.
So
it's true.
Take that for what you will. That is not Harrison at all. That is not what this team wants. That's not what the front office wants. So keep that in mind of what you're asking for. If that's the kind of receiver you want, more times than not, they are divas, and that comes out in the media.
A.J. Brown reads books.
He reads one book that we know of.
On the sideline.
Although when the ball was in the air, Larry was Anquan. When the ball was in the air.
He did attack. And it is a little bit of a different thing. And I do think, again, I am far from a wide receiver guru. But, like, when you watch the play in the end zone where he jumps for it, you would think your hands would be in a certain way, and he brought him back under almost to, like, body catch it.
And he
in the
jumped.
air.
He didn't need to jump.
It was.
Okay. All right, here we go. You know what? Somebody else needs to take an L around here. Let's get to the
Paul.
bottom.
Are you doing that on purpose
Let's
now?
go. Here we go. Wise guy in 3, 2, 1.
It's time for The Wise Guy, the world's fastest growing Cardinals quiz show. The stakes are low. The winner gets absolutely nothing. Here's your hostess with the mostest, Dani Sureck.
I am sad to say I'm unprepared. I don't have my pen, but that's okay.
I don't have a pen to lend her.
You need a pen?
Here
we go.
Look at
There's
that.
a pen. How about that?
Paul is bribing
This
me.
is why he's always dialed in, ladies and gentlemen. There is no one more professional and more prepared than Paul Calvisi.
Let us not forget, Paul is our reigning champion.
Oh, that's also true.
That's right. This is a week-to-week league. Let's go.
So, Paul, you get first choice of your question for some Wise Guys Seattle trivia.
Okay, here we go. Well, obviously it's K1. Let's right off the bat. Let's go number 1. Come on.
This is so great. This critically acclaimed NBC sitcom set in Seattle ran for 11 seasons and was centered.
Oh, man. Yes,
You
I know.
always get the TV questions. Okay, here we go. This critically acclaimed NBC sitcom set in Seattle ran for 11 seasons and was centered around the life of a psychiatrist who hosted his own radio talk show. Name the sitcom.
Literally, the light bulb just came on. Damn it. Frasier.
Correct.
How about that?
See, Paul's on a heater
How about
now,
that?
and now I can't get.
Is that the
get
one
away from
TV
him.
show you've ever watched?
I started with, the dude who started in Cheers.
Yeah.
He was the sidebar guy. Then he got
Yep.
his own. Then finally, somehow, Frasier. Okay.
Boom.
Amazing.
All right, here we go.
Oh, we're going to go in order here, Dani. We'll go number 2.
In 2002, the Seahawks hosted the Cardinals in the first ever regular season game at what is now known as Lumen Field. In the fourth quarter of that game, this former Cardinals player returned a kickoff 95 yards for a touchdown to put Arizona ahead for good.
I sure hope it was Marte Jenkins.
You would be correct. Cardinals won 24-13.
Come on. By the way, the Seahawks just returned a 95-yard punt return with their 5th-round rookie out of Colorado State, Torrey Horton.
Yeah.
And they also blocked a punt. So Jeff Rogers, he's seeing that on film
Special
right about
teams
now.
matters.
Yes. Okay.
Question 3 or 4?
You know what, Buddha? I'm going to go 4. I'm going to go Greg Dortch. Here we go.
Greg Dortch.
Light it.
This former Seahawks head coach from 1999 to 2008 was selected by the Cardinals in the 8th round of the 1970 NFL Draft.
Okay. All right.
Darren's
Wait a
got
minute.
a smirk, so
Wait a minute.
guess
He was
correctly.
also the coach of the Packers. Oh, my goodness, with Brett Favre. And he was actually the high school coach at Oak Grove High School, I know, in San Jose. And his first name was Mike. And, oh, my goodness, I can picture him with that mustache.
You know so much about him. Do you know his name?
Oh, my goodness. If I could cheat, I would right now because it's so close. Dang it.
Holmgren.
Holmgren.
Yes, Darren with the steal.
Come on.
If Darren gets this correct, he will win.
Come on.
I'm sorry, Paul.
Unbelievable. Holmgren. God, I haven't heard that name. See, if I haven't heard it in 10 years, it's just, I have no chance. Come on.
Here we go. In 1983, Ring of Honor member Roy Jetstream Green hauled in 4 first-half touchdown catches in a Cardinals 33-28 win over the Seahawks. Green's performance overshadowed a great game by this Seahawks legend who had 3 touchdown catches of his own.
I hope that's Steve Largent.
It's gotta be.
It is.
Come on.
Darren back in the win column.
Well, that's what I get for not going Buda Baker.
Normally, we would do tiebreakers. However, since we play Seattle again,
Yeah.
I will save those for future use.
Good idea.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Thanks for letting me borrow your pen, Paul.
Okay.
Don't be mad at me.
So the
I don't make the rules. Well, I do. It's my game show, but
Yeah.
sorry.
All right. Let's go back to dudes who set the tone for 500, Alex. Mack Wilson Sr., is he becoming that guy? Because he certainly looked like that guy out in the field. And one of my sideline reports was it wouldn't be the first time that a player tries to match a luminary at his same position on the other team. You know,
That's a good one.
Someone comes in, they're like, oh, that guy's recognized as the best at my position. Guess what? I'm going to show that dude I can play the position at a really high level as well, because have we ever seen a better game by Mack Wilson Sr.?
I asked him after the game, I said, you were pretty much all over the place. Like, did it feel like you were in that zone? And he started giving me an answer, and then he kind of paused and he goes, I was just trying to be a badass, honestly. And the way he said it was like almost apologetic, but it was hilarious.
Right. That's good.
He was all over Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah,
he was on him. What, like a tick on a bug? Is that a good one?
Tick on a dog, maybe.
Sure. That's what Mack
Tick
Wilson Sr.
on
was.
A tick,
Oh, wait a
tick
second.
on a bug. That'd be like a bug on a bug. Does that qualify as a bug on a bug? A smaller bug on
Can we cut that
bigger
out?
bug? That's oh my goodness.
Well, I tried, and that's what I got.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Dani, I mean, as a huge Kid Rock fan, right? I don't want to profile you, but you're a huge Kid Rock fan, are you not? Kid Rock?
Not really.
Because didn't he have the famous song American Badass? That was like one of his most popular songs. So
I couldn't tell you.
Mack Wilson Sr., Arizona Badass. How about
He was
that? I like
badass.
that.
And look, he's the kind of guy who, again, you were hoping he'd step up into that role. He stepped up in the role last year, what he was asked to do. He's asked to step up another level, replacing Kaiser White, and I think he's done that. And he's been excellent. And, that's I wish the defense would have come up with a stop at the end. And again, with Mac Jones, you're hoping he's not going to kind of pick you apart. But defensively, you give up 16 points. That's got to be good enough. It's got to be good enough.
Yeah. Well, look, every week it's going to be someone for Mack Wilson Sr., Arizona Badass. It was Alvin Kamara. It was Chuba Hubbard. It was Christian McCaffrey. Now it's going to be Kenneth Walker. And it's going to be a revamped Seattle offense. Just put a 40-burger on the board. They had 38 at halftime against New Orleans. Clint Kubiak was brought in for one reason. The former OC lasted 1 year because he didn't run the ball. He didn't commit to running the ball. They were bottom 5 in running the ball. Mike McDonald wants to play, all-out defense, and he wants to run the ball. And with Kenneth Walker now I'm not buying it yet. I'm going to have to see this Seattle offensive line in person before they call it revamped, new and improved, but certainly looked like against New Orleans.
A.Q. Shipley is a fan of their offensive line, clearly. I will say, again, the Saints in their first road game, not a great team, clearly fell apart. I remember seeing at one point when it was 21-3, Seahawks were winning, but the Saints had more total yards because there had been the punt return,
block punt.
And the block punt. I would expect the Cardinals to play a cleaner game than the Saints did, especially in a home game. But we're gonna find out the Seahawks. By the way, as I'm bringing up the Seahawks, before I forget, if you're going to the game, remember it's a 5:15 kick. Remember that traffic, especially downtown, is horrific from like 1 p.m. on. Go early. Just thought I'd say that.
It's good. Okay, a nice PSA from Darren Urban, but that's really sage advice.
Yes.
Yeah, get over there early, and because the weeknight games during traffic, no doubt about it. I'll say this too about this Seahawks team coming in. They're actually a lot better on the road than they are at home. You realize they went 3-6 at home last year. They have lost 7 of their last 11 home games. I blame it on the sign guy in the front row by the visiting tunnel. I just think he's bad karma at this point.
We can't save this until when we go to Seattle. I'm like,
I'm throwing it out there. I
keep waiting for you to say, so they kick ass on the road, and here they come.
No, they've won 7 in a row on the road. You don't want to know their record at State Farm Stadium since 2013.
I've lived it, buddy.
You don't want to know that record. 10-1-1-1. So there is that tie in there, the most physical regular season game I've ever seen. And I confirmed with A.Q. Shipley, the most physical regular season game he ever played in. Yeah. The Seattle Slugfest, 6-6 tie.
You could tell. Earl Thomas says hello, by the way.
The Earl,
we're number one.
We dubbed him the Earl of Middle Finger is what we dubbed him. Still my favorite Pete Carroll moment when he's getting the middle finger salute from Earl Thomas from the Cardinals sideline as he was being carted off. I'm like, am I seeing this right now? What is going on? You talk about bad blood between a player and a head coach. That was next level. That's an all-time Seahawks memory. Oh, my goodness.
The only other memory I have on Thursday Night Football for the Cardinals since working here was the last time the Cardinals played Thursday Night Football at State Farm Stadium against the New Orleans Saints, and it was cornerback Marco Wilson with that interception and that
Danny's
slow-mo
favorite
shot
player.
where he is somersaulting into the end zone, and Dalton is just putting his head in his hands.
That's Indy Dalton and not Mark Dalton.
That's an all-timer. Yes, that's an all-timer. There's no doubt about it.
It is weird that the Cardinals haven't played on Thursday night in a couple of years. Like it used to be you did every year, and then they kind of did away with that, and then they just said, nope, no primetime games for the Cardinals whatsoever.
Okay, so any final thoughts, keys to the game, any other standouts from the Niners game? How about Rabbit? Rabbit told us on the radio side he had messed up that same exact play in practice more than once, and then he got it right in the game. So apparently they did a pretty good job of scouting the Niners in that pass play because they had replicated it identically, apparently, in practice.
Second time we heard that. Week 1 in New Orleans, we heard the same about rookie cornerback Will Johnson, that big hit. Chris Olave, that tackle for loss. We were told that was something Johnson worked on in practice. He saw the same look in a game, and he was able to take advantage.
Speaking of Rabbit, bigger picture, like I thought the beat-up secondary played pretty well. There were a couple moments. Ricky Pearsall absolutely got off, and I understand. Although the big pass on the 4th and 2 that he caught, I thought Keitrell Clark had really good coverage. It was a great throw and a great catch, and again, sometimes they make plays, but I thought it held up. Max Mountain, we're all sitting here thinking, oh, my God, he might go on IR. Then he practiced, but he's still questionable. Oh, my God, is he going to play? He missed 1 snap. So I guess he's okay. And I just think generally, they're going to need to play well. The kid from Seattle, and I'm drawing a blank on his name.
Jackson Smith-Njigba.
And he's off to I think he's on pace for like 1,800 yards.
He's got 323 receiving yards, 96 after the catch.
You're going to have to watch that stuff, but again, this is going to come down to the trenches. You already mentioned the offensive line with Seattle. The defensive line with Leonard Williams is a problem and was a problem for the Cardinals last year. And with all these run game issues, I worry about that. And I don't want to sound like a homer guy or, trying to pump up like the organization. But I truly believe I know some of the things that are planned in terms of with the lights of Thursday Night Football and the game presentation with the rivalry. This is the rivalry game where they're going to wear their new uniforms.
The field.
I do believe that there is going to be an energy in this building that the Cardinals are going to be able to feed upon. Now, they have to make it work, and energy in the building doesn't complete passes 20 yards downfield, but I do believe there is going to be an energy there to feed upon, and now it's up to the Cardinals to hold on to that and make it work in their advantage.
Cardinals have won 6 of their last 7 home games dating back to last season. This defense is going to have to show up, which Arizona's defense has. They've allowed an average of just 76 rushing yards per game, which is 4th best in the league. So they have done a nice job stopping the run. For a banged-up secondary, they have also done a nice job. If you look at the numbers, they have forced their quarterbacks to be one-dimensional. So when you're looking, you're saying, oh my gosh, the Cardinals defense is giving up significantly more passing yards. It's because they're taking away the run. They are making these offenses one-dimensional with a very banged-up secondary. What's also been nice is we heard from defensive coordinator Nick Rallis, we heard from Gannon at the start of the season, they wanted and needed more turnovers from this defense. That's what they've done. 2 weeks ago, you had the strip sack that was recovered for a touchdown. You had a pick off of some more pressure from the defense. And then in San Francisco, Rabbit Taylor Demerson with the interception and big man Calais Campbell with what was a tie-breaking safety for 2 points. So this defense is not just forcing turnovers. They're putting points on the board. They have to continue that success against a pretty good Seattle offense.
Here's my walk-off. Calais Campbell, according to Next Gen Stats, had the fastest get-off in Week 3 of any defensive lineman in any game this year. How was that possible at 39 years? Are you sure that's not a typo? I mean, I love Calais and he's playing ball, but are you kidding me?
Aging backwards.
He should have had the game-winning play 2 weeks in a row. That safety he drew should have been the game-winning points, just like he had the sack to end the Panthers the week before. I'm like, that he's getting that kind of production, nuts.
And he is a case study in saving your best for the biggest moments. Like, he knows, like, he's just got something in the bag. Chandler Jones was that way a lot too, right? When there's a gotta-have-it moment, the best pass rushers, they have something that they haven't shown yet, or maybe they showed it to you early in the game and they're going to come back to it in a different way to set you up in the moment. It's just
there's some players where you can count on them in those big time moments.
I would be bereft if I left out our picks this week.
You could leave him out this week.
No.
We don't have Monday Night Football in here because we're recording it before the game, so we'll have to add that in next week.
Oh, that means we shouldn't mention it. If it's not complete, it's not worth mentioning.
But I did notice that I went 10-4 this week, which is amazing because the way the games played out, I thought I was horrible.
It was just sort of a cursory thing. He noticed it by chance.
Paul went 8-6, and then, much to Paul's dismay, Dani fell to 7-7, so his conspiracy theory is all over the map.
Interesting. Okay.
Right now,
on his
on this season, I'm 33-11. Paul 29-15. Dani 26-18.
I'm not that far behind. I was really behind last year. Paul, do you want to know why I picked Detroit over Baltimore ahead of this Monday night game?
You have to hear this.
So here's where Dani started, and then she elevated to here in week 2, and then we said fishy. Now she tried. The heat was on her, so she went back to 500
At the end
level.
of the season, you're going to look back and paint a really pretty picture over there with
Paul,
all that.
you absolutely have to hear the reasoning she has.
Originally, when I sent in my picks, I had Baltimore over Detroit. And then I saw this online. Actually, no, I saw this online before, and I was like, I'm not going to use this reason. So I went Baltimore over Detroit. And then I was thinking about it, and I said, I need to go with my gut. So just a few hours before
she
kickoff.
needs to go with his gut, so I'm going to pick this because of what I saw
I
online.
went back, yes. Listen to this. The Lions are playing the Ravens during a waxing crescent moon. The Lions are 9-1 on these moons in the last 2 seasons.
Okay.
How can you not pick Detroit
I don't
with
do
that
this very
information?
Okay.
I really need the Lions to pull through Monday night.
That waxing crescent moon, baby.
Can't mess with it.
All right, so we started with leaving your heart in San Francisco, and we end with a crescent moon. Okay, all right. So I don't know. The third thing is these things happen in threes, so let's just hope it happens to the Seahawks. Is the third on Thursday night, and that'll do it for this compressed week edition of Cardinals Underground, brought to you by Pacific Office Automation.